Hello, today we are looking at a scale that is broken. So you can turn it on by pressing it, and you can even press the buttons and it does things. But if you try to weigh anything on it, it will give an error message. Error. The other day I did pour water on this, so this is my fault. I broke the scale. It was all dirty. So that's a good reason for pouring water on an electronic device. And so this is now broken. So I don't know if changing the setting doesn't. Let's just see. Now it's in kilograms. Will it work now? Error. Okay, we didn't. I didn't think that was gonna do anything. All right, so I did already test the battery outside of this because I just thought maybe if I just had to replace the battery, then it would be fine. But so I already know that the battery works. Now this is the start of a new project, so we get an extra $30 in our experience budget. That means we now have $31 and some cents. It will be on the screen up here. And if you're curious what the budget is, you can look in the description. There will be information on what that means. In order to open this up, I need a quarter. And so a quarter costs 25 cents. So I guess I will spend 25 cents to get a quarter. Okay, so here's a quarter. That's 25 cents of the budget, but I mean it's money, so I could just pay myself back. And let's open this thing up. I've got a couple of items from my last adventure that we acquired. And so included in that was some little tiny screwdrivers here. So we've got a couple of these screwdrivers. This came in the battery pack kit that I bought on the last video. And so now I can use that to open this thing up. Hopefully, because these are tiny screws. So look, it's working. Exciting. Screw number 1. And also in our previous video, we also got a screw battery holder. So, which is a plastic bag. So I'm going to put my screws in the plastic bag. And there we go. Screws. So let's unscrew this here. So now we have to figure out how to actually get this thing off. So what do I do? What do I do? I'm investigating the back of this scale, and I'm noticing that there are little feet that I can push on. And then on the right side, there are 2 tabs that are bendable, and it seems like this is the way in. So I take the tools that I have and I try to pry it open with my pry tools, and I even tried using the quarter, but it won't budge. I just don't have the right tools to pry this open. So I'm going to introduce, for the first time, my borrow clause. This clause allows me to borrow things that I haven't bought yet, but I have on hand. So I'm not borrowing things from a store, I'm just borrowing things from myself or from other people. I can only borrow things that are returnable, so I can't borrow glue or tape, because once I use them, I'm not giving it back. And once I borrow something, I can't borrow it again for the next 3 episodes. So for this case, I am going to borrow a flathead screwdriver. It's not in my store because it's my parents', and I'm going to borrow it to help pry this open. Let's see how that goes. So, let's try that. Ta-da! Wow, that was great. That was so easy. Oh, I was hurting. I was getting my fingers were falling off. And all I needed to do was one of these. Okay. There we go. And we've opened it up. Wow, is that really simple? Okay, so here's the cover. I'm not gonna worry about trying to clean anything yet because I tried to do that last time way too early, and I don't need to do that until I figure out what's wrong. So here is the board. We've got the screen, we've got the buttons. Oh, look at that. Actually, let's see if we can figure out how this works. Ow. Wow, that's spiky. Like, how do I get this? Oh, it's not, the battery's not in. Let's put the battery in. These big metal bracket things are here to, you know, this pushes down and this takes the measurement. And there's some complicated measurement with the way that these all interact with each other. But this one here is rusted. Okay, just kidding. Cancel that theory because this one also doesn't have any wires. Well, maybe. Maybe that has an effect. I don't know if it does because it is rusted, and that is what happens when you put water on something. It will cause things to rust. It's possible that this got water on it and it got rusted, and that's causing it to not be able to read the pressure of this plate. I'm not really sure how it works. So let's put the battery in, and let's see if we can get it turned on. This thing hurts. Wow. Ow. What is this? This is like pokey. Oh, okay. So it's like right here. Why isn't it doing anything? It was doing things before. Oh, right here. Here's where the trigger is. Eh. Oh! What? Okay. It's working. Guys, it's working. I was pushing at 110 pounds. I don't know, how do I test that? I have a food scale. It's not going to measure 110 pounds. Because that's a lot of pounds. I mean, if I put my whole body weight on it, then I guess that would be that, but I mean, do I really have that much? Oh, there we go, error. Let's try this again. One thumb, error. Okay. Error. All right, so that was a fluke. I don't know why it worked for like a second. This guy here is the like, wait, this is the thing that actually senses that I'm on the scale. And then it looks like it goes, what is this? What's going on here? So there's a spring and a spring. I can push on this, but I don't know. I'm gonna assume that, I know that LCD displays have a lot of input, so it's possible that these wires are all just for the display and the buttons. But our weight wires, I would think, is these guys. We've got a black and yellow. Black and yellow. And it goes into this thing here. And then all this stuff is metal. So, I mean, I'm almost wondering, like, how could I test if the corrosion is the problem? I mean, if I short it, I don't know if this even makes any sense, but we're gonna like, error. Okay, that was, I mean, I have no way of knowing if that was even a valid test. Oh, it's sticky. I mean, look, it's all like corroded there. Maybe I should just, oh, it's magnetic. Maybe I should just try to remove that rust. Because, I mean, the wires all, I mean, I don't have a way to test the wires right now because I don't have a multimeter. So expecting these wires, they look okay. I mean, they look just fine. Yeah, everything looks great. I think it's the rust. I mean, let's be real. The water happened, it got wet, and then it became an error. So I didn't think the water would be able to get to the circuitry, and it shouldn't have. I mean, look at this. This thing should be designed so that the water shouldn't be able to get to the circuitry because it's supposed to be in a bathroom. But there are little holes over here that it could have gotten into. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that rust was already there. I don't want to just assume. See, this side, if I press it, it goes boing. This side, when I try to press it, it doesn't do anything. This does not. This doesn't. Oh wait, okay, I can push on the sides and also activate it. That's probably easier. So, wait, okay, I guess let's test use the leg, I suppose. I want to. So there's this leg. Now what about these? Do these do anything? I mean, they're not by the wires, so I guess they wouldn't do anything. But it's all metal, so this would all be in parallel. What is that connected to? Okay, I'm not gonna assume anything here because there's no reason why this would need to be connected to that. I mean, because if it was supposed to go from here to here, and for some reason through the metal and not through a wire, it could go this way, down, and that way. So it doesn't need to go through the rust. The rust is all the way at the end, and there's no. I don't think there. Cause see here, there's like a green chip. There's a green thing underneath, so I think there's like some kind of circuitry there, and there's some kind of circuitry here, but there is no green thing here on these guys at the top. So I think it only looks at the bottom. I think the top, this metal thing is just for stability. It's not for carrying current, and that would be silly because you have wires that are already here. The thing that I'm wondering about is the circuit boards underneath these pads, because that's where the weight mechanism is. The weight mechanism is under these pads, and I think they both need to work. What if I can just take some kind of cleaning, corrosion removing spray? Let's assume that there's corrosion in there because I need it because I don't know how to take it apart to look. But what if I can just spray like cleaning inside? Do you think that could work? So I went to the store and I got myself some apple cider vinegar. Actually, I got this online. This was $1 and some cents. Exact price will be on the screen. And this spray bottle was $1 from the Dollar General. See, there's my receipt. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put the apple cider vinegar in there. He's good. That was almost all of the apple cider vinegar, but there's still a little bit left. I know that this stuff is good at removing corrosion. So if the inside of the board got corroded because water got in there and I sent a current through it, that can cause corrosion. So the plan is I'm going to take this, I'm going to try to spray it into the legs here, and I'm hoping that maybe that will help to get rid of the corrosion, if there's any. I could be completely wrong. We're going to leave it there, and I will be back to you with an update on if this does anything. The apple cider vinegar thing didn't really do anything. Error still. All I did was I added more rust, so because I put water on the metal, so that was my fault. But it was only like $2 to try. I'm going to try to take this apart more to see if I can get these little boards out and whatever else. That way we'll be able to see how this is made up, because it'd be interesting to see what's under this stuff. Because I found saw these plastic thingies that, you know, as much as I try, there's no way for me to undo it with the tools that I have. I went to the store and I bought pliers for $5. You can see there my receipt, $4.99. These pliers, and I'm hoping that these will help me open this thing up because it's all twisted like that. So I hope that was $5 well spent. There we go. So the plastic is open like that. I guess I need to unclip these clips here. So maybe this thing will help me. I might actually end up buying one of these because this is really useful. Just in general, as a house thing, a flathead screwdriver is good for more than just unscrewing screws. Great. All right, I got this metal thing off. So now we get to see the inside parts of this. So there's this like pointy metal thing, which I don't know what that is, but it probably has something to do with how this thing senses something, because it looks like important. Ow. Okay, it's sharp. And it's got like glue on it. I don't know what that is, so I might have to look that up. Okay, so I realized that it's very difficult to find any information on the internet on what a metal with pointy things is, but I don't think it's has anything to do with electronics. Maybe it's meant so that when I step on the scale, like all my weight goes to this like one point so that it's all like red. And then this bar helps it to kind of... But the interesting thing is that it's not like sensing anything. Like I would think, like I would have, oh, there we go, never mind. If it goes up, it senses things. I don't really know how to get this thing to like actually, like what's the consistent way to get this thing to work without this black thing? Because it should electronically show us to work. Okay, there we go. If I push both of these at the same time. There we are. All right. Well, there's two things. There's a circuit board up here. There's a circuit board in this little guy here. That's nicely soldered. And there's little circuit boards on the legs. And there's nothing up here, which makes sense because if I'm standing on the scale, most of my weight's going to be here, not up here, because the screen's here. Let's try to get this thing off. So, oh, okay. Got that one off. Got it. Nice. Pliers coming in handy again. Okay. I'm so excited. I really want to see what's inside of here. Okay, I got them. The legs are now out. So I wonder, because now the big metal things are in here, I wonder if I can still activate these. Like I should be able to, but I don't know if I have enough force. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Ow. It's very, like, dirty. I don't know if that was from the apple cider vinegar, which is possible. But it is very dirty. So how do I get this open? Okay, it looks like, oh, okay, it looks like this top piece will come off. It looks like it's clipped on there. This is like springy so that it will like spring back so it doesn't stay down when I try to weigh myself. When I come off it, it springs back up. But I think this is a cap, so somehow we have to get that off. And then we'll be able to see the circuit board. That's where the water can get into. There's holes down there, so it could actually get into the feet. Oh, here we go. Okay. So, here's where the, this is where it makes contact. It's a button here. It's a button here, and it makes contact with the, this circuit board here. You can see that here. So it's just a button, basically. Now that makes me wonder, how does it actually calculate how much force I'm putting on it? Because it's just a button. But if I... Wow. Oh, okay. Well, the soldering is great on this. And I mean, there's only 2 wires going here. Look, there's only 2 wires that go here. So therefore, there can only be a voltage in and a voltage out, right? So this is only going to be measuring voltage. Because if there was a signal wire that was telling it information, there would be an extra wire on this. But there isn't. Let's take a look at the other one. Since I know how to get it open, I might as well. Okay, got that off. Yep, it's just a button. So this should not depend on me having like a heavy object touching these buttons. It should work if I just like activate the button. So I'm thinking this whole spring mechanism is designed to make sure that, uh-oh. Did I break it? So I opened this up and I noticed that the yellow wire is connected, but the gray wire is not connected. So that means, now I don't know if I just broke it by like prying in there and it like snapped off, or if it needs to be able to sense that both of them are touched in order for it to actually weigh. I don't see how there could be any effect on the voltage that it receives, but maybe. I mean, maybe there's something I don't know about how buttons work. Buttons I thought are just on and off. But anyways, so that wire's off, so that's going to need to be resoldered. So we're going to need to go buy a soldering kit real soon here. But first, I want to get this out of this thingy. Alright, I'm going to remove the battery. Okay, battery's removed. I don't think you can actually like fully get this out of this like maze here because there's no opening unless I like unsoldered this. But that's fine because we can totally solder that back. If I take this and I just like press the button here. Oh, yeah, it turns on. Look at that. I am 300 pounds. So the button has to do... Okay, that confirms it for me. This whole spring system thing, this whole like spring system thing has to affect how much this button touches this like thing over here. Because me just pressing the button makes it 300 pounds. No, I'm 150 pounds. Okay, yeah. So how much this presses that somehow makes an effect on the result. Now it's working. So this not being together, maybe that's the problem. Okay, what happens if I short this? If I short this, this should be like me pressing the button, right? I think. Okay, maybe I shouldn't short it. It's not doing anything. Oh, but that is. How much weight is a short? Oh. Oh! Error! Error! What if this wire, because it's off, what if this wire was touching the metal? Like, guys, I got it. What if this right here, what if this wire that's loose was touching, was like underneath this wire because it wasn't connected and it was just like shorting? Because it looks like if I cause a short, that's what causes the error. Because maybe the short is like infinite, and so then that somehow in the like the calculation that makes it so that you're dividing by 0. And the thing is, like, when I shorted this, it didn't do anything. Oh wait, I can't just short it like that. I'm so silly. I need to short it to the wire. Am I gonna be able to do that? I mean, it looks like me putting the apple cider vinegar in could have caused this like end to rust. Okay, I got it. Okay, that's 300 pounds. Okay, well, that one has a little bit of resistance, but I think that's the problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if I can acquire the materials to solder this together. All right, so I have $23.23, and I need to buy some soldering tools. So let's go to the store. I need to get soldering iron kits, solder mat, and solder flux. If I just bought those things straight up, it would cost $32, which is more than the budget we have currently. So I'm going to borrow the soldering iron kit and the solder mat. Now, if I borrow the kit, I can't use the solder out of that kit because that would not be returnable. So I'm going to buy the half bottle of lead-free solder and the solder flux. 8 plus $2 is $10, which would leave us with $13.23 left in our budget. So those are the purchases I'm going to make. And now let's go try to solder for the first time. So I've completed my transaction. We have purchased rosin paste flux. We've purchased this half bottle of lead-free solder. Great. And we are borrowing this kit here. This is a little messy because this is not originally how it came. But there's a soldering iron in here. There's some wire strippers in here. There's a little sponge. There's a solder sucker. There's little tips. There's other things here too. And we're also going to borrow this blue mat so that I don't burn the table. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to use these wire strippers here. So here I've got some wire strippers. Now, one thing is I'm not really sure how this works. See, there's like little holes up here. There's red, blue, and yellow dots. Then there's like wire strippers down here. So now I'm not sure if I have a setting that's small enough to actually strip this down, but we will see. Yeah, okay. I don't know how to use this wire stripper because it doesn't seem like it is working in the way that I want it to work. So, backup plan, I'm going to borrow a different set of wire strippers that I know work. That is not mine. I will still need to buy my own set, but these, I don't understand why, like it doesn't like close all the way, so it doesn't like do anything. So this is my dad's set of wire strippers, so I'm just going to use this, borrow it because it's not mine, and then at some point I will have to buy my own pair because I don't know, I can't get this to work. I don't think it closes far enough. But I know how to use this one. You turn the dial, and then it gets smaller. Let's see if it will strip the wire. Got it. Nice. Okay. The wire is stripped. So I just need to solder it onto this contact here. So here's my first attempt at soldering. Well, actually, I have soldered maybe 3 times before, but this is the first time on a little board like this. There are 2 problems with the setup. First, the tip is oxidized, so the solder won't stick to it. I did pull out a sandpaper pad and I tried to clean it, but it didn't really help. So I just swapped tips, and when I did that, the soldering iron was working just fine. But the second problem is that I set up this soldering station wrong. My soldering iron is on the left, and I am right-handed, so I struggle a little here. When I did finally get the wires soldered back onto the board, it fell apart almost immediately, and it was a little discouraging. But then I decided to actually go back and do a little more testing because I realized that the short circuit that I thought was the answer was not consistently giving me an error. It would actually weigh sometimes. So I borrowed a multimeter and I found something interesting. So it's on continuity. So when I tap it, it beeps, right? And the one thing that I noticed is these capacitors, most of them are normal, but these 2 over here, if I go from one leg to the other, it shorts. Now the strange thing about this capacitor situation here, it works here for both capacitors. But when I went back to try again, it only did it for one of the capacitors. And then when we went back to test it again later, both capacitors were testing fine. So I don't know what's going on here. The only thing that changed is the temperature. When I started this, it was really cold and then it got warmer. So if that has any indication as to what's happening here, please let me know. So now that I know that there's something more going on here, probably, I decide to take it apart a little more to see if anything else obvious stands out. I take off all these screws, and the last screw is actually stripped, so that's why I'm using pliers to get it off. And when I take it off, it's interesting because the LCD screen is connected to the circuit board with these black strips, which I think is really interesting, that line up exactly on the little metal pieces when you put the screws in. So that's cool. I didn't see anything off on the circuit board, so I just put it back together. But so after all that investigation, I decided to just put it back together and perhaps come back to this later. I realized that since I'm borrowing so many things, this might be out of my skill level right now, and I don't trust my soldering skills yet. I'm going to go ahead and resolder that little board back on. I actually already did it. You might see it already soldered on here, but it didn't make sense to talk about it earlier story-wise, so here it is now. Alright, so I went ahead and tried soldering this again, and this time much better, I would say. It's successful, and when I use the button, it works. Yay! So that's a success in my eyes. I've resoldered this, and you know what made it easier? I used my right hand on the soldering iron instead of my left hand. Okay, so it's time to put this thing back together. So as you can see, I've already started working on that. I put this screen back on, and the wires are here. The wires connecting to the battery actually came off from the board, but I resoldered those, and that actually went really well. So I think I am gaining experience in my soldering abilities. But the thing that's really confusing me right now is these. I have to put these metal pieces back in. And I know that they are inside this bracket piece. They were both inside of this. I looked back at some old footage, and I know that's where it goes. But the thing is, I remember taking it off was really hard. So I don't know how easy it will be to wedge this back together. I think that this is supposed to go in here, but it's not supposed to be like here. I think it's supposed to be up here. And this, wait. Because I know that this metal piece is supposed to be on the spring, which is what I told myself. Like that. And so this is supposed to be like a little over, I guess. Like that. Like that. Okay, okay, yeah. Well, somehow I need to get this back into like that. Something like that. Almost, but this doesn't fit. There's little holes over there it's supposed to go through. That's why it wasn't like fitting. It's not supposed to fit. Alright, I'm thinking I should probably put the feet back on first. Let's start by putting these top feet on, because I think it's going to be tough to get it in if I put the other guys in first. Okay, it's in. Alright, cool. Almost in. This is in. They're both in. Okay. And it's down, so that's good. Black thing's going to be on top. Alright, next I'm going to put the feet in for the circuit boards. Where are the buttons? I don't know what this is. I think this probably goes on the back here. This probably goes on there. Oops. I don't know. I don't need it. Functions perfectly fine without this piece. I don't really want to remove it just to put it back on, but maybe I should. So I continue to put the scale back together, and it's not too difficult. Once I got the feet in, the metal pieces slide right where they're supposed to be, but the feet are a little tricky. So you can see the bottom right foot I had to resolder because in order for it to fit into the white springy thing, the wire has to be unsoldered from the circuit board to fit through. So I resoldered it with my right hand this time, and it worked. And then I continue putting it together. I put the feet in, I put the metal braces in, and you can see they pretty much go right in with a little help from a tiny screwdriver. And it all goes in nicely. Then I put the black piece on and I bounce out the little pointy metal piece so that all the weight goes into that one spot. And it feels right physically, but when I go to test it, it doesn't work. So I noticed something when I was playing around with this. Watch this. So when I take this wire and I just kind of wiggle it around, look. See, look at that. It blinks on like that. So I'm thinking it might be something to do with this leg. Look at that. It's reading right now. I don't know if this is doing anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this leg back up again and see if there's a loose wire or something. Maybe I broke something while I was trying to put it back together. So we're gonna do that. All right, that soldering is no. Oh no! All right, look at this. You see that? That's a broken pad. The pad came off here, so soldering's not gonna be as easy. Although I think that that's the where it connects to. So I'm wondering, I don't know. I've never done this sort of like soldering to and not where it's normally supposed to go, but I'll try that. That's probably why it wasn't working. There you go. So I'm going to try to solder the wire to the little dot that I believe you would just use to test continuity. But I went ahead and gave it a try because it's the only idea I had. So here's the result. Let's test this out. I'm going to put the battery in. Let's see if this does anything. It does. Oh, great. Okay. All right. Well, yep, it works. Okay, great. It's connected. So let's. At least it was the way that it was working before. I don't know. So now that it's working, I can put the circuit board back into the foot. You can see here that it takes a little bit of finagling to get the cap properly clipped back on. And so I have to use a little screwdriver to do that. Then I put the metal brace in, I put the battery back in, and I tested it again, but nothing happens. It's not responding. So I go ahead and check out the left foot to see if there's anything wrong there. And when I open it up, I find that both wires had disconnected from the circuit board. So I'll have to resolder that, no big deal. And then I went and checked the other leg, and I find that I had stripped it too far back when I resoldered it, so it was shorting. So I took some of the tape that was in the scale, and I taped it to try and insulate it, and it was working. So I put it back in, but it still didn't work. And then I tried to clean the button with isopropyl alcohol. Still didn't work. And when I reopened it, I found this. Nope, it came undone. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not fixing this. I was just trying to restore it back to the way it was. I mean, I know what to do. It's just, I know that solder point is really weak. I tried to put it through the hole and then like solder both sides because I thought that would be stronger, but it's not really a hole, it's just an indent. And so, I mean, I could just keep soldering and then get lucky that it doesn't break when I try to put it back together and then finally it'll work. But it won't work, it'll just be back to the way it was. I don't think it's fixed. I think there's something wrong with the capacitor, but this definitely has to be revisited. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions. Any way to strengthen wires? I don't know if there's a way to make it so that they don't just break on you. Like, it just feels like it's so weak, so loose once I opened it up. It just wasn't very good at being put back together. just a little bit of water. So let that be a lesson to you. Don't pour water on your electronics. It will break them.